So I'm going to let this reload. Ding, 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 ding. I'm going to let this reload. Player. Whoops. Player movement controller. No, that's not what I want. Player input. Whoops. So, just going to ignore all this. Some of you might have gotten to the point where your player is moving really fast. Has anyone got there? Couple people? Cool, your player's moving really fast. The method that is getting called that moves your player is being called in the update function. Does anyone from my phaser class remember what update was in that class at all? It's okay, it was a really long time ago. So I'm going to need everyone to just like not look at their computers right now and to just look up here. Cool, thank you. Now, every time you create a class, Unity is actually going to give you, sorry, that's a little bit on that funny part here. There we go. Unity is going to give you this part that says private void update, and it's going to give you a start as well. So private void update says update is called once per frame. Does anyone have any idea what that might mean? Haley? Yeah, cool. That's great. That is a great way to talk about that. So if you've ever seen if you've ever seen differences in frames per second, like did anybody go see Lord of the Rings in 60 frames per second? Like they had special viewings where they had like the 60 frames per second version. Did anybody see that? Andrew did. It looks different. It looks different because you get to see more like in between spots of like where people are moving and when things are moving. That same thing happens in video games. So this update, how many times per second do you think it actually runs? 30? That's a good guess. Anyone else? 50? Bing, 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 bing. It's a little bit of a trick question. It's not a constant number. You don't actually know how many times that's going to get called. It's only ever going to get called once per frame. And so a frame, what Unity needs to do to do one frame and then move on to the next frame is it, one, has to draw all the pixels to the screen. So to figure out what do I want to display? What did my coder tell me to display? And draw all of that. That's a very complicated process that Unity is doing for you. And if you want to someday learn about shaders and materials and things like that, those are cool, really neat concepts with a lot to learn about. But we're going to skip that. So it's got to draw everything, but then it's also got to execute all of the logic that you've given it for the scripts, which you have defined in your update function. So it's got to run all of those. And then it's also got to run all of the physics. So those are like the big level things that Unity does. It runs, it displays things on the screen. It calculates the physics of things that have physics enabled for them. And it runs your scripts. It runs your update scripts, every update. So between every frame, depending on how fast your computer can do that, you can go anywhere from not even a frame per second. So you have to wait multiple seconds to get a frame. I've written or done things that have made my computer do that. Actually recently did that with a computer with like an i7 and 32 gigs of RAM, and I overloaded it with too much stuff. Um, or you can go as high as, like, I've seen my editor running at like 200, 1,000 frames per second, which, like, at some point your eye can't distinguish that you're actually rendering that many. And your monitor doesn't refresh that fast either. So you have some hard limitations. Anyways, so what's important about that though is that this function is what we would call like frame rate dependent. So how often you get it depends on how often you get a new frame. So if you want something to happen like at a consistent level, putting in an update can be tricky. If you just put it in that way, if you're like move 5 units every frame, if I have a really speedy computer, in 1 second, if I'm rendering at 200 frames a second, how far have I moved? 1,000. Yeah, I've moved 1,000 units because five units every frame, 200 frames in a second. 5 times 200 is 1,000. If I have a slow computer and I'm running at like 15 frames a second, I am I at 1,000? Am I even close to that? No. So I'm going a lot slower. But you probably don't want to design a game where your player goes as fast as your computer does, right? That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So the important thing that I wanted to go over here, besides the fact that update runs every frame, and that we understand what a frame is this little handy dandy thing that Unity gives us, which is access by time class dot delta time. And that's a static property, so it belongs to the class itself. It doesn't belong, there's no instance of time anywhere. We won't talk about that much more, but just know that I can call time.delta time and I can get this value. It's not a specific value. It's not like 5. It's not always going to be whatever. It's going to be a variable that is the time in seconds it took to complete the last frame. So if it took me 1 divided by 200 seconds to do my frame, it'll give me that number. If it took me 1 divided by 15, it'll give me that number. If it took me 3 seconds, it'll give me 3. This is how you take something in a frame rate dependent function and make it frame rate independent. Because once you multiply your number times this number, then you have a constant. So let's think about that. Let's say our speed was 5. And we're just going to imagine that we're going to say, hold on. I'm going to put this in start so that it happens once instead of every update. So we're going to say var 60 FPS. Oh, it's giving me an underline because I'm not done yet. Oops, I'm actually going to say not var. I'm going to say int. 60 FPS equals. I'm going to say our speed here is 5. Actually, I'm going to make this a float. Sorry. One more time. 60 FPS is our speed times 1 divided by 60. It's also telling me that's wrong. Does anyone know why this is wrong? We went over it briefly. Yes! Good job. I did that on purpose. So we're going to do 30 FPS is our speed times 1 divided by 30. Now we're going to have, these will be two different numbers. And I'm actually going to take, these out of there. These are going to be belonging to the class. Actually, one more time. Just stay with me here for 1 second. I'm going to set this. Oops. Oops. There we go. We're going to set it once because we don't know the value of speed at the time of declaration. We'll set it once here. There. These green squiggly lines are okay. They're a naming rule violation. I've set up naming rules so that I name things a specific way. You won't have that. And I'm going to add two more here. And in update, I'm going to add wait, is this going to do what I think I want it to do? Yes. Whoops. I don't have that shortcut set up yet. I'm going to log this out. And now I'm going to do a special thing that's going to limit my frame rate on purpose. I'm going to limit it to 60 frames. Oops. 60 frames per second. I'm going to go back. And I'm going to play. I'm going to go into my console. And nothing is going to happen. That's not good. What did I do? Time to debug this. Player movement controller. What script am I in? Player input controller. Have I attached that? Yes, I have. Huh. What happened? Actually, what happened here? There we go. That's what I'm expecting. Okay. So now I've got all these logs. And I've been running at 60 frames per second. It says at about 2 seconds, I have 6.755 movement. And at about 1 second, I have 2.6. I'm going to go back, and I'm going to change this to copy this and paste it. I'm going to comment this out. We're going to do the 30 now. And we're going to 30 FPS. Movement 30. And we're going to set our frames per second to 30. Now, if everything is working the way that I hope it is, and the way that I think I set it up. Oh, I don't have clear on play. That's fine. Cool. So now I gotta scroll down here to where time restarts. And at 1, oh, I have about 3, don't I? Well, I think I just set that up wrong, didn't I? Anyways, that was a long tangent that I was trying to explain essentially, this value would be your time.delta time. Whoops, if you ran it exactly 60 frames per second, and this one would be if you ran it exactly 30 frames per second. Things got a little bit off, though. I'm not sure why. Anyways, sorry for that distraction. But time.delta time is important. Frame rate dependence is important. Frame rate independence is important when you want things to be constant. Any questions? Yeah. Would anyone like to try that? No, I saw that one. No, yeah. Would you like to try, Wendy?
Okay. I think what you were trying to show us was that you were trying to basically reconstruct delta time. So I'm going to state that in more English terms, I think. You were trying to demonstrate how much we would move if we multiplied the speed of 5 and adjusted that every frame rate by 1 divided by the frame rate. So you should get speed at the end of every second if you properly had a frame rate.
Right.
We were trying to demonstrate that if you set it equal to a target frame rate of 30 and multiplied by 1 divided by 30, that you should get about the same speed after a second.
Yeah.
As if you divided it by 60 and had a target frame rate of 60.
Yeah, and I think that might have just been like, I think YOUnity tries, but it might not actually succeed.
Which is why you use delta time, right?
Yes, because delta time will be accurate. I could also do this, and
Also, you showed us a really cool way to show it something in the debugger, which is nice.
I did. I did not go over that, but I'm going to put a counter in here just to see how many times we are running update every frame. I should have put that at the beginning. Over. Nope.
Oh, wow. YOUnity is so cool.
Okay, so it's telling me way down here in the Chattahoochee. Okay, so we're at 0. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No. We're about at 1 second here, and we've hit 20 frames. Well, that's just the imperfection of application.target frame rate.
So you tried to set it equal to a frame rate of 30, but in practice it was doing about 20%.
Yes, and that might actually be because I have Open Broadcast Studio rendering the entire output of my computer to a file right now. So I think I'm overloading what my computer can do, so I don't think it can hit 30 frames a second right now. So actually, that's a perfect reason why we need time.delta time, because my computer can't even go that fast. So, all right.
The takeaway is that computers will run at different speeds, and we want to make sure the movement, the speed of our thing works the same no matter how fast or slow someone's computers.
Yes. Yes. Computers run at different speeds. We want it to be the same no matter how fast their computer is. Perfect. I'm going to stop this.